Franklin Roosevelt took office, the nation was in the Great Depression. During that time, banks and businesses closed, and millions of Americans lost their jobs. People lost their homes because they couldn't pay their mortgages. Many couldn't even afford food. It was a terrible time, and until FDR came to office, most Americans had little hope that life would get better. Franklin Roosevelt's wife, Eleanor, was determined to help. With government funds, she started a town called Arthurdale for some of the West Virginia miners. Eleanor also gave much of her own money to the community. Soon Arthurdale had new homes and schools. Its residents could get food and health care. Eleanor hoped other towns like it would be built across the country. With Arthurdale, Eleanor proved to be a strong voice for the poor. Her work earned her admirers across the nation. Eleanor's influence continued to grow. She fought against segregation laws which forced the separation of people by race. In one famous incident, Eleanor quit a group called the Daughters of the American Revolution because it refused to allow black opera singer Marianne Anderson to perform in its auditorium. Eleanor arranged for Anderson to give a concert on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. It was a huge step forward for the civil rights movement. On December 7, 1941, the Japanese attacked the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. The U.S. then declared war on Japan. Eleanor wanted to raise the spirits of the country. She began visiting American soldiers both at home and foreign nations. The First Lady spent as much time as she could with the soldiers. She wrote down the names and addresses of the soldiers' families so she could write them when she returned home. In 1947, Eleanor was elected head of the 18-nation United Nations Human Rights Commission. She also was the head of a group in charge of writing the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Eleanor and other UN members worked hard on the declaration. On December 10, 1948, in Paris, France, she presented it to the UN General Assembly who would vote on it. Near the end of her life, her doctors discovered that she had a serious blood disease. After spending her 78th birthday in the hospital, Eleanor wanted to go home. She died peacefully in her New York City apartment on November 7, 1962. Eleanor Roosevelt was a champion for justice who cared deeply about the poor, African Americans, women, and young people. Eleanor wrote more books and newspaper columns, traveled more widely, worked harder for causes, and made more speeches than any other president's wife. No other First Lady in American history has received as many awards and honors as she did. She was a leader who made a difference in people's lives all over the world. Today, Eleanor Roosevelt remains one of the world's most admired women. She truly was a First Lady of the world.